Let's talk about why certain applications get denied. We're going to focus on the number one reason why an application can be denied by USCIS. Let's start with the Form N-400, application for naturalization. This one, the common one, is lacking good moral and character. If you lack good moral and character, your application, if filed within that 5 years statutory time, you are going to see your application being denied. What are some of those examples? For example, it can be lying on the application itself, on the Form N-400, or on previous forms like I-485, or at the consulate. Then the lie is going to catch up with you at the interview. And then if the USCIS officers find out that you lied within that 5 years statutory time frame prior to applying for the Form N-400, then it's going to be denied. I mean, you can file N-336 to be it's going to give you the opportunity to be heard, but most of the time that one too is going to be denied, especially if you don't have a waiver to waive that. The best case scenario will be to just wait for another 5 years and make sure that you get rehabilitated within that 5 years, within that next 5 years, and then apply again, case by case basis. Okay. Green card, I-485. Number one reason why the green card gets denied is lies. I cannot stress enough for this one. Lies, fraud, willful misrepresentation. If you don't have a waiver to waive that, the green card is going to be denied. And even if you can waive it, you have to be able to show extreme hardship to the qualifying relative, which is the spouse, parent, lawful permanent resident, or U.S. citizen. Only those two qualifying relatives can waive that for you. If we go with the I-765, number one reason it gets denied, at least for this one, I-765, the work permit, I found out at least two reasons as to why this application gets denied. Wrong code category. You know, when you file for the I-765 and you file under a wrong code, for example, C8 is for asylum pending, but some people put A5 as if they have already been granted asylum. Some people will put C9 as if they are applying for undermarriage. It's going to be denied. Okay. Number two reason is the clock has stopped. This is a case where you file for asylum and your asylum has been denied prior to the clock. You know, if you file for asylum, right now the rule says that 150 days you have the time prior to applying for a work permit. At least you can apply for a work permit after 150 days after that application has been pending with USCIS or with the court, right? But let's say the denial comes before 150 days and you file an appeal. But then after the 150 days, you try to apply for the work permit because you think, because the appeal of your asylum is still pending. No, because of the clock has stopped the moment the denial decision came, my friend, you cannot get the work permit. It's going to be denied because they'll say that the clock hold, the clock has stopped. So to speak, it simply means that the decision for the denial came prior to the 150 days. That's why now, even if when you appeal, the clock has already stopped, So you don't have any basis for the work permit when the appeal is pending. This is different for the person who already got their work permit, then the asylum get denied. Now they're appealing. That person is in a different category. That person can still get their work permit because they got their work permit prior to the decision, and they got their work permit after the 150 days prior to that decision of the asylum application. You see the difference? When it comes to I-130, that's number 3, right? Oh, number 4, I-130. I-130 gets denied most of the time because of insufficient evidence. For example, a person will apply for I-130. The goal of I-130 is to establish relationship, right? Let's say you're applying under marriage. But come to find out that you did not divorce from your prior spouse, but still get married here, while that marriage is invalid, and the document you introduced is fraudulent. So it's pretty much insufficient to show that you are free to get married. So that's why it can be denied. Sometimes you're trying to show you live together, but on the lease agreement, only your name, not the name of your spouse, is on it. After you actually got married, you should go and update your lease agreement. If you don't do it, your application can be denied. Different addresses on the driver licenses, especially for this one, you can argue, right? Because maybe you haven't changed the driver license because it hasn't expired yet. But most of the time too, it looks a little bit suspicious, the address, if it's different from where you live. Okay. And lastly, I-131, the advance parole. Number 1 reason why it gets denied is because the person is in removal. When a person is in removal, USCIS does not have jurisdiction over the I-131. You have to go with ICE and ask parole to ICE, which I strongly discourage. Because if a person is in removal, leaving the country is pretty much like abandonment. It's like, okay, you're being called to court, but now you want to go home, and you might get denied entry at the port of entry, okay? Those are the reasons for each category. At least we talked about 5 forms, right? As to why cases get denied. I wanted to talk about this subject because, you know, sometimes we get denials, and when you look at those denials, those are the things that you could have already predicted, because I always tell my client, this one, I feel like it's going to be denied, but if you want to try, we can always try and see if the argument is going to work. But that's when it's like, you know, 40–60%. But, you know, those are the reasons. If you need a consultation, my friend, schedule it by using the consultation link in the description box below. Until next time, bye-bye.